Level 4 upgrade. And there is Titan's next upgrade, Traxxas waterproof servos. These of course were donated to me by Coyote0976. Thanks a ton. Now we have 2056 for the shifter and throttle and a 2075 for the steering. Let's go ahead and get these installed. First thing I need to do is remove the top of the receiver box. It's held on with 2 screws, one on each side. With those screws out of the way, I can pull off the top, and now I have access to all the plugs for every one of the servos. And now I'm going to unplug channel 3, channel 2, and channel 1. The first servo I'm going to be removing is the one for the throttle. It's held in with 5 screws. We have 2 screws on bottom, 2 on top, and 1 that holds in the servo arm. With those screws out of the way, I can pop off the arm and then pull out the servo, and it's on to the next. Next up is the shifting servo. It's also held in with 5 screws. 1 for the arm, 2 on top, and 2 on bottom. With those screws out of the way, I can go ahead and pull off the servo arm, but I can't remove the servo yet because the wire is being held down by the servo brace. So it's time to go ahead and remove the last servo. And of course, it's held in with 5 screws as well. 2 on top, 2 on bottom, and 1 that holds in the servo saver. But I'm also going to be removing this screw right here that holds in the servo brace. Once those screws are removed, the shifting servo is going to fall right on out along with the servo brace. And now we're going to go ahead and unplug the servo saver, just like that. And now we can pull this one out as well. And there you have it, guys. I removed all 3 of the servos, and as you can see, they're not in the greatest condition. I did take them apart and clean them, but I just could not revive the motors that are already worn out in them. Not to mention, they're pretty weak compared to the ones I'm going to be replacing. And now, to go ahead and put in the new ones. The first servo I'm going to install is the 2056 for the shifting. I'm going to go ahead and get the servo brace. I'm going to line it up right there. And then I'm going to slide it underneath. Make sure that wire goes into the proper slot. And then I'm going to screw down the brace using that single screw. Once that's taken care of, I'm going to get the 2075. And then I'm going to slide it into place. Just like this. Make sure the arm's out of the way. There we go, and now I'm going to go ahead and put in the 4 screws that hold it in, but I'm not going to attach the servo saver yet. Now that those 4 screws are holding in the steering servo, I need to put in the 4 screws that hold in the shifting servo. Now that that's taken care of, I'm going to get the wire for the battery as well as the wires for these 2 servos, and I'm going to wire tie them together. Now that that looks better, I can go ahead and install the last servo, and of course it's held in with 4 screws, 2 on top, 2 on bottom, and then I'm going to use 1 more wire tie to keep these wires in place. Now that that's all taken care of, I can go ahead and start plugging in the servos. The shortest wire is going to be servo 1, which is for steering, so that's going into channel 1. The second longest is going to be for the shifter. That, of course, is going to go for channel 3. And then the longest one is going to be for throttle, and that is going to go into channel 2. Once all that is done, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the remote as well as the RC. That's going to center every one of the servos. Now I can go back and reattach every one of the arms and just make sure that they're on straight. And there you have it. These 2 have been reinstalled. Like I said, guys, just line it up straight, put it onto the servo, and you should be good to go. Just remember, turn off the power to the servos when you're tightening down the screws for the horns. Otherwise, you could strain the servos, and you don't want to do that to a new servo. Now, for the steering servo, what you're going to want to do is line up your tires as even as you possibly can, and then put on the horn. Turn off the power to the servo, tighten the screw in, and you're done. Now that that's all taken care of, I can shove all this into the top of the receiver box and reattach it to the RC using those 2 screws. Here's before. And here is after. As you guys can see, these servos are a lot more responsive. Now before I'm done with this upgrade, I'm going to do a little modification to the antenna tube. I'm going to go ahead and put a lighter over the tube halfway. That way I can go ahead and put a 90-degree bend into it. Now if you're going to do this little modification, be sure that you take the antenna out of the antenna tube. You don't want it in there while you're putting it over an open flame. But like I said, just going to get a lighter, run the flame over it, be very quick. I don't want to burn the plastic, I just want to warm it up. Once I warm it up enough, I'm going to put a bend in it. I'm just going to be very gentle with it. I'm not going to force it. I don't want it to kink. And now I'm just going to keep doing that until I get a nice 90-degree angle. And there you have it. Now you might be wondering, why did I do this? Well, let me show you. When the RC flips upside down, you can see that the antenna is no longer going to rub against the ground. And I am finally done with this upgrade, guys. Thank you so much, Coyote, for this awesome donation. And that was Titan's level 4 upgrade.